Welcome into Plead Your Case. Today we're going to be talking about the state of sports, mainly the Pittsburgh Pirates and, of course, the National Basketball Association. And then we're going to be moving into some GOAT debates between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Is it time to have that question? And then, of course, our mini segment, 5 and 5. All that next here on Plead Your Case.
Hey there, sports fans. You're watching another episode of Waynesburg University Community Television's only national sports debate show, Plead Your Case. Whether you're a diehard fan or a casual observer, get ready to join us every week as we dive deep into current pressing sports topics. Our panelists dissect every angle, every scenario, and every statistic to influence their fiery takes.
What has he done without Tom Brady?
And spirited arguments.
No, listen, Bowtie. Have you ever played Foursquare? No, you were too old to play Foursquare.
There will be no argument unexplored, and every take will be under review.
After reviewing a play...
Here in the Waynesburg University Communication Department, we believe in heated debates with a touch of friendly competition, which is why we also have a fresh 5 and 5 mini segment that you won't want to miss.
I don't think a pitcher is breaking Cy Young's wins record of 511.
You Google America's team and what do you get? You get the...
So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious sports chat. It is time to plead your case.
Welcome in to Plead Your Case. I'm Joe Cerullo here, your host for today's show. Today, we're going to be talking about the state of sports, and we're going to be starting it off here with the NBA. A lot of crazy stuff has been going on lately, and of course, we're going to dive right into it, and it's mainly just the trades. Some trades have been going around between the Spurs and the Kings, where De'Aaron Fox has gone to the Spurs, and Zach LaVine has gone to the Kings, but of course, Anthony Davis now to the Dallas Mavericks, and then Luka-AD down to the LA Lakers. I'm joined here by Seth Adams and Mark Grove. Mark, what do we think about these monster trades going around in mid-season of the NBA?
I'm just so unbelievably heartbroken that Nico Harrison could rip the Mavericks going to the finals last year and said, you know what, that's not good enough. I'm going to blow this whole thing up. And he does want to stay for the long term. So he just double screwed us. So it's just an absolute waste. And they also made another trade that they're like, oh, that's going to get us over the hump. I don't want an old Anthony Davis on my team. A couple of years ago, we had Jalen Brunson, Kristaps Porzingis, and Luka-Doncic, and we didn't do anything. And we're just going to go to the lottery for the next 3 years. He wasted so much talent. And of all teams to go, he has to go to the fabulous Los Angeles Lakers, where this is terrible. Just when I started getting hardcore into basketball, the Mavericks do me dirty.
So basically, the Lakers
This
traded.
means a lot to you, Mark.
It does.
It does, of course. Being a Mavs fan yourself, it of course means that. They basically traded.
They traded the city.
They basically did. They basically traded a cosmic brownie.
Yeah.
The Lakers did for
pretty
Luka.
much. Yeah.
It was like nothing. It was like me trading at lunch for a candy bar.
Yeah.
It was brutal. Any other trades do we think it's going to happen throughout this season that's going to be as big as that one?
I don't think so. I mean, you woke up the morning and it was my phone. Like, it's just all over the place.
I was still up.
But it's still the Lakers. I mean, they fleeced the Mavs on this one. I mean, Luka is younger 6 years. 80 is 31. Luka's 25. He's averaging 28 points in his career. I mean, what else can you ask for? I mean, he's not great at defense, but still, I mean, when you got a guy putting up around 30 points a game, what more can you ask for? You know, defense isn't great. Whatever, you can find someone to fill that. Even though he did gain a little bit of weight. I mean, I think that was one of the main things.
That was one of the main reasons.
He gained some weight, but I mean, he's a professional athlete.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be able to lose that weight like that. He was injured. He hasn't played in a while. But I just think, man, the Lakers, they did a great thing, and they got so much. I mean, LeBron and Luka. I mean, who would have thought?
They have a higher ceiling now than they did with Anthony Davis on their team.
Yeah.
So that you led into my question is that it was mainly said that the reason that the Dallas Mavericks decided they want to initiate the trade was because of his health and because of his weight. Is that a valued reason to even start a trade in the first place? Do you believe that that is a reason, a good one, or a bad reason in general?
I think it's a very poor reason, especially with the dominance that he's had for his whole career. I mean, Jamarcus Russell, you look at him from the NFL, he gained a lot of weight and he didn't do anything and he wasn't successful. That's an example of having poor health. Luka having poor health, that is just unreal to me. He has been so dominant. Like I said, 30 points a game? What else could a team ask for? I don't think it's a valid reason. Any professional athlete should be able to get back in shape and get healthy in the matter of a couple of weeks or so. I think that's a poor excuse by the Mavericks.
Mark?
I mean, it's a sorry excuse. Who cares if he's fat? He makes results. He took him to the finals. If he's 270, that's fine. If he's fat, he's going to run up and down the court. He's going to lose that weight. Whenever he came into the league, yeah, he was a bit of a doughboy, but he was also a teenager eating like junk. But he's a grown man now, and so who cares if he's fat? The only guy that doesn't succeed when he's fat is Zion Williamson because he gets hurt every other day. I mean, it's just a sorry excuse for them to cover their butts for trading Luka.
I feel like all good arguments, whether biased or not, are set across the table. But one that I want to touch on just a little bit before we move into our other state of sports is Jimmy Butler. A lot of drama going on down in Miami, where he has been suspended indefinitely, and there has not really been any signs of him being traded. Do you think we'll see him being traded before the end of the season, or are we going to have to wait until the offseason for that?
Probably before the end of the season. Jimmy Butler's an odd cat. He always has been, but he's shown results. So you can be like, look at Dennis Rodman. He was an odd cat, but got you like 15 rebounds a game. I have no problem with people being odd cats. But I mean, like the Heat, Pat Riley probably just wants to get rid of him. And Jimmy Butler's really being a distraction and a headache to the Miami Heat, so they'll probably deal him even though his value's not that high. And so they'll probably deal him at the trade deadline for probably a Cosmic Brownie and a mini thing of 7-Up.
7-Up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if he's just going to be an issue. Might as well get rid of him before the season is over. Wheel and deal. Get it out of there.
All right, so that's going to wrap us up here on the National Basketball Association. But moving on over to the Pittsburgh Pirates. We haven't really talked about them as a sole individual, but we've talked about them within the Major League Baseball areas. But for the Pirates, spring training is coming up. They hired a new hitting coach in Matt Hewig, and then Skeens is back. But is that a cost to the franchise at some point? Is he going to continue to put himself up there and continue to raise his stock to be signed somewhere else? When you look at all the other transactions that the Pirates have been able to do, on January 7th, they signed Elvis Alvarado to a one-year contract. On January 9th, they signed Joey Bart, David Bednar, Colin Holderman, and Bailey Falter, all back under one-year contracts, of course. On January 10th, you have Caleb Ferguson, of course, under a one-year contract. And then on January 28th, the most recent thing is Adam Frazier is back. And, of course, under that magical number that the Pirates always love, one-year contract. So, is this going to lead to the Pirates changing at all this season? Or are they going to go above 500? They're going to keep us right on their heels on June, being like, oh, we look like a great team, and then sail us right back down into the Titanic down in like August or September? What are we thinking for this season?
They finished 76 and 86 last year, 5th in the NL Central. They were above 500 after the All-Star break for that little bit, and then it just collapsed. And it's unfortunate to see, but that's what the Pirates have just been struggling with, especially with hitting. I mean, we just look at the statistics from last year. 234 batting average as a team, 23rd in the MLB. 1,500 strikeouts. That's 4th. OPS, 672, 27th. They need hitters. And they signed Adam Frazier. He hit 202 last year. I'm not a big fan of what the Pirates are doing. They have their pitching rotation. They got solid guys. They got Skeens. They got Keller. They got Jones. They need to go find some hitting. Adam Frazier, yeah, he's a great beloved Pirate. He had a good career. It's getting to the end. He's not putting up the numbers like he did when he was with the Buccos back in like 2015 to 2020, around there. The Pirates need to go find a hitter, and they just need some hitting. They're struggling in the hitting department, and they need to find one.
They need some hitting. Mark?
They're just going to be the same old Pirates unless they spend money on big hitters, which they never will. They won't be anywhere close to competing. I wish I would say I was wrong, but they had me believe that they were actually not the general Pittsburgh Pirates of old, and then, as Joey said, sunk down right into the Titanic. But Skeens, with his value just growing and growing and growing, that number for his next contract is just getting higher and higher. And I say if the Pirates don't extend him in the next 2 to 3 years, I think the Pirates have a better chance of being run out of town and moving to Nashville in my lifetime than they do winning a World Series. This is how much of, like, I'm so frustrated with the Pirates, with Bob Nutting just not embracing wanting to be competitive, because in Major League Baseball, where you got the Dodgers and the Mets, where they're actively spending money and you got your shot with some big-time free agents, but the Pirates don't even, like, they're not even like 5 miles from that. Like, they're like on the other, like, continent. It's just like they just love those 1-year deals. 2 years is, too much commitment, because their main deal is, let's sign some of these veterans and then flip them for floppy prospects at the trade deadline. That's basically all what they do. It's rinse and repeat every year.
Sounds about right. I mean, if I'm Bob Nutting at this point, I'm thinking, I really like the movie Moneyball. Maybe I try and do something like that, where I just find random guys that are going to find their way to fit in, and they'll just win me a World Series. Well, that's not how it works, because Moneyball is a movie. We are not in a movie. We are in reality. And with that, Bob Nutting either needs to make 2 decisions. Either he goes or Paul Skeens go. And in the way that he's looking, probably Paul Skeens will be moving outside of Pittsburgh. Will probably go to the Yankees or the Dodgers. Probably the Dodgers, because the Dodgers just own the world at this point. I just heard that they signed Godzilla the other day. They're just signing anyone and everything at this point. So with that, do you have any hope at all for the Pirates, not only in this year, but like in franchise future?
I'll be that optimism. I think they'll be better this year. You're bringing a lot of guys back. Like you said, they had a lot of signings. I think Joey Barr is going to have an excellent year. I feel like he kind of got better as the year went on and really adapted into the catching role. And once he just gets comfortable, I mean, he was one of the top prospects with the Giants, right? And once he gets more comfortable, more at bats with the Buccos, I think they'll have a better chance with him. I think that they're going to get better, maybe even above 500, only by a couple games though. But I think this team, they have the pitching. They need the couple of hitters. They have Brian Reynolds, who had an outstanding year last year. They have O'Neal Cruz, and they got the rotation like I said earlier. You need some bullpen help, and you need a couple more batters like Alex Verdugo. If they make the move, but that's what I think.
Mark?
Yeah, I completely agree with Seth. Like, you're just a couple players away from, like, being on the cusp of a wild card, which isn't that hard. You just pay Alex Verdugo just $5 to $8 million. Like, that's not too much to ask. But I mean, the Pirates, I have a little teeny bit of hope because they have guys like Paul Skeens. Hopefully they can figure out Henry Davis.
Oh, yeah. Struggled.
Andy Rodriguez showed a lot of promise before he got hurt. Some good arms in the bullpen. You still have David Bednar, who hopefully still has a bounce-back season after an atrocious season last year. You still got Colin Holderman. So you have the pieces like to kind of build around, but are they fully committed? That's going to be the make or break for the Pirates.
Make or break is pretty much what the season's going to be all about coming up here. But that's going to do it all for us here on this first segment. But stay tuned. We're going to have the mini segment 5 and 5 coming up.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.
Welcome into the mini segment here on Plead Your Case. I'm Joe Cirillo, your host. For this 5 and 5 segment, we have two-time winner Chase Maseko back on the desk with us, and then joining him is Vinny Heller, as I should say. Boys, are we ready?
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready to get
Awesome.
rolling.
So if you have not watched the episodes in the past 5 and 5, basically, they're going to have a 30 seconds each to explain what their side on the question is, and they have to try and convince me. I will mark down you not telling them who won the point, and at the end, we will announce a winner. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to start down here with Vinny. My first question here, 30 seconds after I read. What was the best Super Bowl halftime show ever?
I think this is a clear answer for me. Would say Michael Jackson, but I wasn't allowed to witness that. I'm going Super Bowl 50. You have Bruno Mars, Beyonce, and Coldplay. Plus, it's the 50th. It was the gold ceremony, and Pepsi was real big. But Coldplay playing Yellow, Viva La Vida, Beyonce with Formation, and Bruno Mars with his Uptown Funk. I think it was all in the midst of greatness there, and I think that's the best.
Awesome. Right under time. That's going to do it perfectly. Chase?
Yeah, believe it or not, I actually have the same one. Coldplay, Bruno Mars, and Beyonce. Coldplay is very near and dear to my heart. Avella class of 2024, Viva La Vida was our class song. So we're all huge Coldplay fans back in Avella. I just want to talk about nostalgia when we look at these songs. You go back and you listen to Bruno, you listen to Coldplay, you listen to Beyonce, and you're having a good time anytime you can hear the three of them. And having those three on the big stage, that's just an incredible performance.
Perfect. Right on the dot. You ended there. That's going to be a hard decision for myself. You both chose Super Bowl 50. Now I got to choose who gave the better argument for it. I don't know. This next question we're going to go with Chase here for this one. Will the Pirates extend either O'Neal Cruz or Paul Skeens in the foreseeable future?
Yeah, so I think we will extend O'Neal Cruz just based off of how the market's going. If we look at the Brian Reynolds contract, 8 years, $106 million, I think that's a very reasonable deal for the Pirates to do. O'Neal Cruz has mammoth potential, and if he comes even close to that, a contract like that will be worth it. Paul Skeens, on the other hand, it's going to go around like a Garrett Cole contract, which is 9 years, $324 million. That's just way too far out of the Pirates' budget, so I don't think there's any possible way that the Pirates.
That's it. That's 30 seconds for you. Vinny?
I'm going to take the other route on this. I'm going Paul Skeens. He's a Rookie of the Year pitcher. I mean, he's pretty special as a rookie, and I think they could build off this very heavily with Brian Robertson and letting O'Neal Cruz walk. I think that would be a better decision so that you have more money for your hopefully the best pitcher in the league if you keep him. And I think they'll let him walk, to be honest.
All right. Letting Cruz walk and keeping Skeens. That's what Vinny says. This next one, down to Vinny. Should esports be considered a legitimate sport?
No, it should not be. There's no physical exertion to it. And on top of that, I think my biggest argument is you can't call it a sport if you're competing in esports while playing sports games. You can't, we play so-and-so today. I play them in college football. How are you going to call it a sport if you're playing a sport in your sport, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. But the physical exertion thing, I feel like that plays a different part, and that's all sports is, and there's none of that. So.
All right. Chase?
Yeah, so I'm going to take the opposite here. I want to lean into the mental aspect of esports. Some of these games out there, Fortnite specifically, it takes a lot to be really good in that game. I know many of the people on the floor love playing that game, but none of us are anywhere close to the level of those players who are dedicating so much time and effort to these games. Other games like Counter-Strike and Valorant, they spend hours, days planning these strategies out. So I think it's just a huge toll mentally. So I think that's why we can consider them a sport.
All right, good arguments all around. My next question here for Chase. Are analytics helping or hurting baseball and baseball broadcasts?
Yeah, so to start with baseball as a whole, I think it's helping baseball because we're seeing better players get developed now. We're seeing people look into spin rates and launch angles when getting their players, and we're seeing the top level of talent be better than they ever have been. As far as broadcasts go, it does add clutter to the screen sometimes, but I think overall for the fan experience, it's getting good eyes into what a MLB organization runs like.
All right, right on the dot there. Vinny?
I wrote just about the same thing, so I'm going to have to agree with you. I think it is helping baseball and broadcast with the clutter. However, I still think the broadcasts are still keeping pace. I feel like it helps with player evaluation. It shows your player value so that maybe the offseason trade market, other teams making moves with other players. I feel like the analytics are really putting a big part on that. And only thing I don't like is an analytic, like per se, a pitch clock. I feel like that, with you saying better players are playing their best, I feel like it's more dangerous.
Time is up for you. Next question here, our fifth and final one. If you could fire one coach, would you fire Mike Tomlin or Terrell Austin, and why? Vinny?
I took Mike Tomlin here. Although the city should give him more respect, as he's been having a winning season for over 10 years now. In my opinion, going 8-9 or 9-8 and losing in the first round of the playoffs makes you a mediocre team. And if that's occurring consistently and consistently over and over and over again, it's not the players' fault, it's the coaches, the offensive coordinator. The guy that runs it all, there's something got to be fixed, and I think he's the reason, and he needs to leave.
All right, Chase?
Yeah, I have Mike Tomlin too. Steelers haven't won a playoff game since 2016 when they played Jacksonville and got utterly destroyed by them. And I just haven't seen Mike Tomlin building anything new in the recent years. It's just been the same old Steelers with good hard-nosed defense, but they lack an offense. And in 2025, you can't go into the playoffs and expect to win games with this offensive philosophy.
All right. All arguments have been made in our final. Going down from number one, what was the best Super Bowl halftime show ever? I gave that one to Vinny, mainly just having that first point. He was able to get his point across much quicker. So first point goes to Vinny. Will the Pirates extend either O'Neal Cruz or Paul Skeens in the foreseeable future? I also gave that one to Vinny there. Just had a little bit more of an argument saying with Paul Skeens, you could definitely find some more outlook into the other positions. But when we move on to should esports be considered a legitimate sport, I gave that one to Chase here. It's a very good argument on how a lot of the teams, they do have to put in a lot of other work and strategize in their ways. Then you move on to number 4, are analytics helping or hurting baseball and baseball broadcast? Although there is a lot of clutter, I did give this one to Chase as well. I agree with you on that. There's a lot of clutter going on, so we're 2-2 going into this fifth one. It was quite a matchup. You both agreed that Mike Tomlin should be fired, but I'm giving it to Chase here, as he did have the better argument, saying that although it's been a long time and you do continue to have those winning seasons, it is quite a stretch. You got to get him going at some point. Plus, if you fire Mike Tomlin, you also get rid of Terrell Austin at the same time. So it's 2 birds with 1 stone. But that is going to do it all for us. We have 3-time winner now, Chase Maseko, here on Plead Your Case. But don't go anywhere. We're going to be back here talking about a GOAT debate. Welcome back from the mini segment of 5 and 5, where we had Chase Maseko continue on as our winner. We are back here on the desk. Seth Adams, Mark Grove here, along with Joe Cirillo. We are here to talk about the GOAT. Now, a few years ago, we thought that it was set in stone, and it was going to be set in stone forever. You could etch it into Mount Rushmore if you wanted, but now we might need to pull out the dynamite and blow that up, because Patrick Mahomes is getting there. You don't know.
Bad.
So mainly got to be looking at who is the greatest of all time within the NFL, mainly just between Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes going to his 5th Super Bowl in 8 seasons, but Tom Brady going to 11 in 23 seasons. What does this mean? That's why we're here to discuss it. So is it time to say that Tom Brady is no longer the GOAT and that Patrick Mahomes is? Seth?
No. No. And no for the 5th time. This is Tom Brady. Are you kidding me? 7 rings. He played until he was 45. He was in there for 23 years. 23 years. I'm 20. Okay? That's longer than my lifetime. And it blows my mind. It makes me frustrated because Tom Brady has done so many outstanding things. When you think of the face of the NFL, you think of Tom Brady. That's who it is, right? Sure, Mahomes is starting to get there. He's starting to get there. Is he there yet? Absolutely not. His numbers that he put up in 2021 are just unbelievable, almost. 485 completions, 5,316 yards, 43 touchdowns at 43 years old. Or excuse me, at 40, around there, whatever. He was 40. It doesn't matter. He's an old man. He's still slinging the rock.
I think it's a good argument. Tom Brady had basically 3 Hall of Fame careers all in one, from 2000 to 2009, 2010 to 2016, and then 2017 to 2022. It's definitely an argument to be made. Mark, do we agree or disagree?
I'm going to disagree because if Patrick Mahomes wins on Sunday, he'll be a lot closer. And Seth made a good argument, but you can look back through Brady's career and see his big kryptonite was none other than Eli Manning. You look throughout Patrick Mahomes' career, and he really doesn't have that kryptonite.
Okay, Brady is 2-0 versus Mahomes.
Okay.
And destroyed him in the Super Bowl. So, anything to say on that? That's my opinion.
We don't know how long Patrick Mahomes is going to play for. He could play till he's 50.
Yeah, but the thing is, he hasn't played till he's 50 yet.
Yeah, that's going to take time.
Yeah, so right now, there is just no way that you can say Mahomes is the GOAT. You can't. It's impossible. Until he has the longevity of Tom Brady, I just don't see him in that classification of GOAT.
Say, how many rings does he has to get to for him?
At least 7.
7, okay.
Like Brady has. I mean, Super Bowl, isn't that like the main thing in the NFL, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think so too. And the fact he has his whole right hand and 2 on his left hand filled, I think that's pretty impressive.
Well, we could almost get to 5 on Mahomes' hand as he's going for his 4th in this coming weekend as they're facing off against the Philadelphia Eagles. He's 3 for 5 right now. He could be 4 of 5 coming up. Brady went to 10 and won 7. So, I mean, the odds are better in his favor. But like you said, Eli Manning did beat him out on 2 of those along with Nick Foles. But do we see any point in time that maybe just stats are going to show, or is it really just going to come down to Super Bowls being the main contender here? Mark?
I think it's going to be Super Bowls. I mean, that's all what everybody looks at. Like, if you want like a good analytical QB, you could look at Brett Favre, Dan Marino. They didn't have as many Super Bowls. Marino had a big fat 0. But yeah, it's going to come down to Super Bowls because like nobody really. Once you get the stats, only get you into the Hall of Fame. But if now, since you're looking at the greatest of all time, it takes everything and championships trumps all.
Well, you could also say, I mean, Brady leads in 4 stats: completions, attempts, yards, and touchdowns. So, I mean, how much better? I just don't understand how you can say he's the GOAT when he's put up these numbers that they're the foundation of just excellent quarterback play. Someone's got to beat those numbers, in my opinion, for it to be considered the GOAT. I just don't think that you could say that someone is better than someone for only being in the league for however many, since 2018 or so was that year he got drafted. So so it's been like 7 years. Tom Brady was in there for 23. If he could put up more numbers than Tom Brady, which is very likely, don't get me wrong, I still think Mahomes is going to be one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But until he does go for that long amount of time, I just don't think it's there yet.
The media day was yesterday for the current Super Bowl. As for that Super Bowl, Mahomes was asked, do you think it is time for the GOAT conversation to be brought to him and Brady? And he said he doesn't think that GOATs are normally just made off of one person, but off of a team. So going into that, you had Tom Brady that went from New England down to Tampa Bay. Do you see Mahomes at any point in time leaving Kansas City and hopefully extending his legacy to other places?
I don't know. That's a great question, Joe. I could see it happening. Anything is possible in the NFL. We've seen some, and the NBA too. I mean, like, look what we just seen in the NBA, which we'll talk about or we'll wait. It's just, there's so much to it in a player's lifespan. Like, it's tough for a player to be on the same team for an extended period of time. Ben Roethlisberger, he's one of the few that was able to stay on the Steelers his whole lifetime. But we look at quarterbacks, they go every once in a while. They go at the end of their career to somewhere else, maybe thrive like Tom Brady did, or maybe that's the end of their career. So Mahomes, he's very close in the Chiefs community. I mean, he signed that big contract. I think he's going to stay for a very long time. If not, if he does leave, it'll be like 1 or 2 years.
Yeah. All right. Mark?
I would have to agree, and I think most of it hinges on like Andy Reid because him and Andy Reid are tied at the hip. But I see what Seth is saying. I mean, he also has a minority stake in the Royals. So he basically is enveloped in the community. So something probably big would have to happen for him to leave Kansas City. He's just too invested in not only the state of Missouri, but in the community.
With that, Andy Reid also did say yesterday that he would be back for the 2025 season. So he's not going anywhere, at least for the next season. So potentially, if they don't win this Super Bowl, they'll maybe make a run for it again in the next Super Bowl. But for the final time, Mahomes, Brady, is there anyone else right now, would you say, that even is above Mahomes in a GOAT conversation? Maybe Marino, Montana, or is it just between Brady and Mahomes?
Man, that's a loaded question. You have so many good quarterbacks, but there's like a Hall of Very Good, and then you have like the Hall of Fame. But I would say probably with those three guys, like with Brady and Mahomes, probably the next one would probably be Joe Montana.
Peyton Manning's up there too. You can argue him up there as well. There's a lot of great quarterbacks, and it's hard to even say a GOAT sometimes with how well that these quarterbacks play. And like you said, a lot of it doesn't have to deal with just the player, but the team around it. So if you got look at Joe Burrow this year. He put up outstanding numbers and had a great year. He was just on the Bengals, who didn't do so great all year, and he wasn't even in the MVP race. But I feel if that team was good, he could have been in that debate. So I really feel it's on perspective and really everyone's own opinion on it too.
Perspective and opinion, that's what this show is raised on. And that's going to do it all for us here on Plead Your Case. We thank you so much for watching, and make sure to stay tuned for more here on Plead Your Case and WCTV.